Hi and welcome to Jagee's Cookbook. Well, this time I thought of showing you something very comforting. We all love comfort food, and comfort food necessarily has to be soft, velvety, and has to be, well, melt in. It has to have a sort of melting texture in your mouth. This sort of pudding, now obviously when we think of comfort food, well, I think of a sweet comfort food. Now, I remember my mum, I think you all remember your mums making custard for you. Now, custard is a very traditional pudding, and mothers love to give custard to their children, mainly because it is made of milk and eggs, both of which are very nutritious, so it's good for children. I remember my mum making the custard which you stir on top of the stove and and serve it in the bowls. I used to love it, and it always custard gives me nostalgia. It takes me back in my childhood days. The smell and the simple things of the simplicity of the pudding. Now, this milk and egg mixture, actually, the mixture of milk and egg creates a whole lot of puddings like creme caramel, baked rice pudding, bread and butter pudding, baked custard. All sorts of things can be made. The basis is like milk, sugar and eggs. If you have milk, sugar and eggs, you can make a variety of puddings, which is also very good for you, nutritious, especially for children. Now, thinking about my childhood days, I always think about having bowls of custard and jelly. Remember that? It really gives me a sort of, takes me back to my school days, where I used to come home from school and bowls of custard and jelly would be in the refrigerator at the table. Mum would make it, and I would be very happy to eat it all up. Also very good for me. So this time I thought of showing you, well, my way of making custard. But this is not a stove top or what you cook over or stir over a fire. This is mainly a baked custard, which is very simple. But there are simple steps you have to think of, or you have to, well, there are some steps which you think may be dispensable, but they are indispensable for that melt in the mouth texture. So for that, let's get started with the baked custard, with this traditional pudding, which is totally easy. And just keep what I say, just keep that in mind, the steps in mind, and then you're ready with a pudding. So let's get on with nostalgia. Okay, for this pudding, very simple pudding. What we have to do is preheat the oven to 160 degrees. Okay, it should be at a very low temperature. Either 160 or even 140 is more than enough. So I have preheated my oven to 160, and it's preheating now. While that is being done, I'm also heating a little bit of water. Now, there are two steps which are indispensable in this baked custard to give you that smoothness. One is you have to bake it in a bain-marie or a water bath, and that's why I have my water boiling out here. First of all, we need around 500 mils of full fat milk. Do not even think about skim milk. It should be full fat milk. Now, what I have done is, that is 500 milliliters or half a liter. Now, what I have done is I've mixed together. This is actually 500 mils of liquid. What I've done is I have taken 300 mils of full fat milk and 200 mils of fresh cream. Okay, I've mixed it together. You don't have to, this gives a more of a very rich, thick consistency for the pudding. You don't have to, you can add the full thing, you can add full fat, that is 500 milliliters of full fat milk. Okay, it should be full fat. You can't, or you can't use low fat instead. It doesn't work. So what I have to do is I have to heat this. Okay, heat it to boiling point, not to boiling point. Make it as hot as possible. So I'm going to heat this in my microwave. You can do it in the stove or on the microwave. Okay, that has to heat. Okay, now for that, or the next step is, while the full fat milk, so like I said, it should be 500 milliliters of full fat milk or 300 ml of milk and 200 ml of fresh cream. Anything goes. Next, what we need is we need 4 eggs. Okay, 4 eggs, 50 grams of sugar, and we need whisk. So 4 eggs. Now, to make it even more richer, what you can do is add 3 eggs and 2 egg yolks. Okay, 3 eggs, 3 whole eggs and 2 egg yolks. But I'm just going to add 4 eggs because I have added fresh cream, 200 ml of fresh cream. Now, add 50 grams of sugar, simple white sugar. Okay, and all I need, this is a very, very simple pudding, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. That's it, nothing else. All I have to do is whisk this. Four eggs, 50 grams of sugar, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. A lovely vanilla smell is coming. The eggy smell will disappear once the vanilla extract is added. Now, instead of vanilla, you can add, well, a quarter teaspoon or half a teaspoon of cardamom powder. So it will be a cardamom pudding. Or you can add half a teaspoon of cinnamon powder. Again, it will be a cinnamon pudding. So it all depends upon your taste. Okay, that's done with. Now what we have to do is we have to check on our milk, which is hot enough. It's hot. It should be, kind of hot. See? And you just keep on mixing. So this, in effect, is egg milk mixture. And this is the basis of many, many puddings, especially the famous bread and butter pudding. Okay. So like I said, it should be 500 ml of full fat milk. Full fat. The more thicker the milk is, the better, or the more richer the pudding will be. Okay. Simple, it's done. Now, there are two steps, like I said, there are 2 steps which are indispensable. One of it is actually straining the mixture. You have to strain the mixture. If you don't strain the mixture, it won't give you that wonderful smooth texture. So this step, you may think this step is not very necessary, but it's a very important step. So you need a strainer, okay, and carefully we have to strain our mixture. Okay. this needs to be strained once more. Now, what I have to do is I have to transfer the whole mixture into a sort of pudding dish. Now, this is 17 centimeters by 6 centimeters. It should be deep. If it's not deep, it won't give you that, that beautiful texture. So what I need is, I need to actually butter this. Okay, I'll just butter it. Just a little, so that, it's easy for the pudding to come out, much easier. Okay, so try to get a small kind of pudding dish. This is an oven-proof dish. Okay, so try to get a very small. Like I said, 17. This is 17. Diameter is 17 centimeters. Okay, anything less will, you'll get a very shallow pudding. Now, once that's done, what we have to do is transfer the rest of the mixture. Let's strain this once more. The more you strain, the better. So this step is indispensable. You have to do this step, because if you don't do this step, you won't get a smooth pudding. It will be, it will have all sorts of funny grains in it. Okay, so that's done. Don't need this anymore. That's out of the way. This is done. Now all we have to do is we have to create a water bath. The second important step is that you have to bake this in a water bath. That is, you need an oven-proof dish, which is slightly bigger than this dish, okay? And you need to actually, it's hot. You need to actually pour this hot water a little bit, so that it comes halfway up this dish. That's the pudding dish. Okay, so be very careful and add the hot water. And we'll just keep this here, so that it actually comes halfway. It should come halfway up the side of the pudding. So the steam will actually help it to cook, and it will, it will stop it from actually drying out and actually provide moisture. So very, very carefully take this to the oven, okay? Very carefully. You have to be very careful because this is hot liquid. So when you actually transfer from one place to another, be very careful, because if it falls on you, it can burn you very bad. So 160 and 160, well, it needs around 45 to 50 minutes, depending upon your oven. Once that's done, your baked custard will also be done. Now, it's been around 45 to 50 minutes. And my custard is set and ready. The pudding is ready. Now, it may take less time for you if you have a smaller oven. All depends upon the size of the oven. So, be ready to see whether it is set. Once it's set, you can take it. It's from 45, sometimes probably 1 hour, probably. It won't take 1 hour. 35 to 40, 45 minutes. Okay. Anyway, just keep an eye on the pudding, and then you would actually know. Now, let me just take it out carefully. This. Okay. Okay. Be very, very careful. This is hot. And take it out carefully from the water bath. Very carefully. This is very, very hot. Keep it to cool. Okay, let it cool for 1 hour at room temperature. Let it come to room temperature, and then you can chill it. It's best eaten at room temperature. You know, never eat it hot, very hot. It's not at all, the real velvety smoothness of the custard is only good when it's at room temperature. It's okay when it's chilled, slightly okay. You can have it with fresh fruits or, any sort of sauce, chocolate sauce, strawberry sauce, anything you want. But try not to eat it very hot. It doesn't taste well. So my custard pudding, which is really hot, is ready. Okay, I hope you'll try it. This is really, really good. It's a very, very easy pudding, totally easy pudding. Now you can vary the flavors by actually adding cardamom or cinnamon instead of vanilla essence. You get a cardamom pudding or a cinnamon pudding. Okay, so try this at home. You'll really like it, and stay healthy.